Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And first we're going to talk about Очередная direction, where we continue receiving significant number of very interesting details. As you can see, we have adjusted the map, adding additional gray zones to approximately territory under Russian control, and we have a lot of updates, and mainly updates are coming from Arkhanhelse. The sources reported that the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish complete control over the village. More precisely, that village was captured by the 132nd Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces, and the Ukrainians were forced to fall back. And we have different mappers already adjusted the maps. So for now, the neutral mappers are showing just the, let's say, northern part of Arkhangelsk as a gray zone, and this stronghold also as a gray zone. But when talking about the videos and geolocations, yet we still haven't received even a single video confirming Russian control over Keramik or over the stronghold between Arkhangelsk, Очередина, Novokalinovo, Keramik. The only video we got during the previous 24 hours is this one, and most of the mappers have already adjusted their maps and, let's say, speculated about Russian control based on this video. On this video, for example, we can see significant number of Ukrainians who started abandoning their positions and moving further in direction of Kalinovo. So if we return back on map, since the first seconds of the video shows this territory. So the Ukrainians left this building, the most north edge building of the village, and after that the Ukrainians started moving further to the north along this road, and somewhere in this area the Russians start bombing the Ukrainians with artillery. So let's take a look again. The Ukrainians are moving along the road, significant number of soldiers, few tens of soldiers, and then the Russians start bombing them. Let's say the head of the envoy was under attack. So, and you know that it's very difficult to understand who was bombing the Ukrainians, because the Russians are saying that those were the Russians who were bombing the Ukrainians, but who knows, maybe those were the attacks of, let's say, anti-retreat forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, forcing the Ukrainians to stay and return back to Arkhangelsk and to fight till the last soldier. We can't tell for sure. Furthermore, other Russian sources reported that the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to enter this stronghold, and currently there are very heavy clashes, or maybe the clashes have already ended and the Russians seized control over the territory. And furthermore, according to the Russian sources, the Russian forces managed to enter Novokalinovo from the east. So approximately this is the line of Russian control in the territory, and the Ukrainians also were forced to fall back. So we see an additional day of additional collapse of the defense both of the armed forces of Ukraine. Most likely this gray zone was really captured by the Russians. As I understand, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, maybe Putin himself personally, waits for the 9th of May, so they will be able to announce significant victory of the Russians by the date, by telling Russian people, that as a result of clashes they managed to establish control for more than, let's say, 5 or 6 settlements like Keramik, Novokalinovo, Очередина, Arkhangelsk, maybe Kalinovo, maybe Paraskovivka, maybe Novoalexandrovka. So lots of towns by this very important date to announce the complete capture, complete control, which will be obviously very big media victory from the Russian side. Also, we have additional updates from the area from Avdiivka direction. We have added the icon softly because we don't know for sure where exactly it happened. Most likely today the asynthers will geolocate the videos, and according to information we have, during the previous 24 hours the Russians destroyed 1 Abrams tanks and 1 Bradley. On this video, for example, we can see abandoned probably Abrams that was damaged and destroyed by the Russians, accurate, let's say, accurate shell Krasnopol. On this video, we can see the Abrams from an additional angle, from the better angle, we see the fire, so which confirms that the Abrams was completely destroyed. The only thing that the specialists are pointing people's attention when discussing this video is that the Abrams was completely empty, without any additional defense, without any additional things that can reduce the risk of lose this vehicle during Russian attacks or something like this. So this is very weird and unexpected from the, let's say, Western and the Russian pro-Ukraine Russian analytics. Furthermore, the sources reported that not just Abrams was destroyed, there was like a group of vehicles on the direction, and also another Bradley was destroyed. So if we return back to this video once again, you're gonna see that at some video we can see in the central part the destroyed Abrams, but in the left corner we can see the smoke, and that was the Bradley that was destroyed. So most likely the forces of 47th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine were trying to counterattack the Russians somewhere here, maybe somewhere here. I don't know, can't tell you for sure. But the Russians discovered their, let's say, redeployment, and when they arrived on the line of combat contact, on the fire line, the Russians basically destroyed them. So this is the situation in Cheretsino. We're going to receive obviously more updates during the day, and the Russians will continue their offensive. Now we are moving to the second and the most important point, Chasiv Yar. The Russians launched the greatest Chasiv Yar offensive operation. Currently, we don't know for sure what exactly is happening there. The sources reported that after artillery preparation, assault operations of the 98th Airborne Troops began. The paratroopers have taken 3 dugouts and 2 strong points. Mop-up operations are currently underway, and the multi-launch rocket system is working closely. Servicemen of the 47th Brigade of the Ukraine Armed Forces were also captured. The 41st Brigade, according to our information, is located exactly in this part. So the 41st Mechanized Brigade was redeployed in direction of Chasiv Yar to replace the, let's say, the traitors of the 67th Brigade of Armed Forces of Ukraine. The 41st Brigade was redeployed here from Kupin's direction. Furthermore, the Russians published the photo and the video of destroyed bridges and dams and, let's say, roads between one and another side of Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. As you can see, this is a very powerful construction. This is not just like something like a bridge. It's the result of sand. It's a real construction that is very difficult to destroy. The only thing that Russians can do is to damage. Of course, from now on, the Ukrainians are no longer able to use, let's say, armored vehicles for crossing this area, but infantry still have possibility to move from one side to on another. And of course, the Russians continue clearing and hunting the Ukrainians along Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. Significant losses, and the clashes continues. So once again, currently there are very heavy clashes in Chasiv Yar. The Russians are storming the high-rise area itself. It's not like, and most of the channels are reporting about this. For now, we don't have geolocations, just as we discussed, destroyed bridge. We have the geolocation of destroyed tank in Bogdanovka, but according to information, there are very heavy clashes inside of the area. So most likely during the next few days, we're going to start receiving updates, and as I understand, the Russians have plans to capture, to seize control over the eastern Chasiv Yar before the Victory Day. So, and of course, additional onset strikes somewhere in the near rear to destroy the Ukrainian, let's say, artillery positions. So very important day, very interesting day. This weekend is going to have lots of updates, so let's see what is going to be next. Now we're moving back. The Russians also, as I understand, try to attack Ukrainian positions somewhere on the southwestern part of Marinka. So there were a few attempts to attack the Ukrainians using these roads, but as I understand, the Russian attacks were repelled by the Ukrainians. On this video we can see the Russian T-90 tank who was moving to the fire position, but he was damaged first by FPV drone, lost its control, and after that the Ukrainians probably used 10 or 20 FPV drones to damage the tank, but they haven't managed to deal even a single damage, and tank remained in the fields without any damage. So this is T-90 tank. And after that, we have another video of how the Russians were trying to send some reinforcements or maybe to evacuate the tank drivers, but the light vehicle was destroyed by the Ukrainians. Furthermore, we have additional updates of the Russians' clearing operation in Paraskovievka and Konstantinovka. The Russian sources published significant number of FPV drone strikes against the Ukrainian positions in these two villages and towns. So most likely the Russians began the artillery preparation before further offensive, and most likely during the next few hours, also most likely before the, let's say, Victory Day, the Russians will try to answer as well as either Paraskovievka and Konstantinovka as well. And we have a certain Russian activity in the fields between Paraskovievka, Konstantinovka and Ugvadiana. So another possible road of Russian movements to the west from Salotka. So this area is also very active. It was very active during the previous night and the previous day. We haven't received anything from, let's say, Urozhaina area as well as from Zaporozhye. The only thing we got from Zaporozhye is that the sources reported that Ukrainians have redeployed the soldiers of 2005-2006 years burn of this area age, so it's very young guys of 18-20 years old. So this is the, let's say, mobilization in Ukraine. And we have additional updates from Kherson direction. The Russians continue hunting and attacking the Ukrainians on the Ukrainian bank of the Dnipro River. Significant number of strikes took place there during the previous days. The Russians continue hunting. Of course, as we discussed, the Russians took the words of Syrsky about control of the islands seriously. They don't want to have the same story in, let's say, Kherson direction as they used to have in Krynki. From the other side, we continue receiving significant number of videos of the Russian redeployment of Russian vehicles, army, and forces to the border. This video was added softly, but it's just like the video of a significant number of convoys heading to the area of special military operations. So Kharkiv operation most likely to be. Furthermore, we got additional videos of the results of strikes inside of Kharkiv. The Russian sources published the video of missile strikes. Most likely the Russians were targeting the Ukrainian, let's say, headquarters and temporary positions of the foreign forces. We have additional updates from Kiev itself. According to information we have, President of Ukraine Vladimir Zelensky demanded that the general staff of the armed forces of Ukraine restrain and advance of the advance of the Russian army by all possible means and hold cities regardless the losses of personnel and equipment. So Zelensky understands that the situation is critical, and if the Ukrainians are not able to hold the Russians, there may be no Ukraine, or at least the Zelensky regime. And we have the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the United Kingdom arrived in Kiev with the purpose to discuss and to begin negotiations on a 100-year partnership with Ukraine. But from the other side, we got a report from the United Kingdom advises its citizens to avoid all travel to Ukraine and within 50 kilometers of the border with Belarus, and so on. The exception is the most necessary cases in Transcarpathian, Ivano-Frankivsk, Ternopil, Chernivtsi, Lvov, Volyn, Rivne, and Zhytomyr region. So United Kingdom was the first country who announced, who demanded its people to leave Ukraine, most likely during the next few days. Germany, United States of America, and other countries will do the same, and this is going to be the final warning before the greatest Russian offensive operation on the territory of Ukraine. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.